Okay, so hello everyone. In today's lecture, we'll be doing chapter one of legal studies. It's called Concept of State. So, in this chapter, we'll be covering a lot of topics that I'll be discussing. Before that, in this video, mainly we'll be completing concept of state. But with that, I'll be doing forms and organs of government also. Not the entire chapter, but some children requested to me that they're getting. Second chapter, half of it for their coming exam. So I'll be doing till the portion that I have been briefed of. Okay. So for the first chapter, I'll just give you overview of both the chapters before beginning it. So first chapter will be studying what is state and how is Article 12 related to the concept of state. Then we'll be seeing what is government, how was state emerged from society. We'll be seeing definition of state also by J.W. Garner. Then we'll be seeing few theories on the state. Then we have four elements of the state, and there's six types of state that will be seen. Then, if we talk about the second chapter, forms and organs of government. So, in this video, I'll be making you do till this. So, we'll be doing all this only till general functions of legislature as organ of government. So, as you'll be seeing, while I'll be making you do the chapter, that my textbook will have underlined definitions and some key points which I request all of you to mark in your textbook as it will be helpful for your final revision. I have some key terms also noted and few of the subtopics, so that also I'll request all of you to mark in your textbook. So as we are starting concept of state chapter, our first definition that we see is what is state. So here we can see that it says Black Law Dictionary. Now in this video, I'll be explaining you everything point to point because it's your first lesson and it's your first class of legal studies, your first chapter. So just so that you know that what this subject is all about and what you'll be studying in this subject, and making sure that you have not seen or studied this chapter or subject as a whole ever before, I'll be teaching you. So I'll be explaining you everything in precise, uh, thinking that you don't know anything, but after this session I'm pretty sure you will know everything that I'll be discussing here and a totality of the subject as a whole. So Black Law Dictionary basically, it's a standardized book, a legal book that is accepted all around the globe, and whenever in the court or in any legal matters, whenever they have to refer to definitions, usually they refer it from Black Law Dictionary. So in our textbook also they have written your Black Law Dictionary's definition. So that's what we'll be studying. So in this book there will be two definitions from Black Law Dictionary. One is what is state, and second will be what is government. So first, what is state? So Black Law Dictionary defines state as a political system of a body of people who are politically organized. The system of rules by which jurisdiction and authority are exercised over such a body of people. So, what it basically means is that state is a political system of a body of people who are politically organized. Means a state has a political system, and from that political system, the body of people that reside within the state, they are politically organized, and the system of rules by which jurisdiction and authority are exercised over such body of people is called a state. All right. Now, our second concept is the concept of state and Article 12 of the Indian Constitution. So, in your book, you will be seeing this four liner, small para. Now, I recommend instead of this paragraph, you can even highlight this in your exam if they ask you Article 12. Now, see, if it's a two marker, I suggest writing these points is enough. But if it comes as a three marker, then you can write this entire thing. Now, this definition, what you see here, is the exact same of this, but in pointers. Okay, so we'll directly be seeing this. So, Article 12, as per the definition, states that the state includes the following. First is Government and Parliament of India, executive and legislative or legislature of the union. So basically, the first point talks about the central form of government, that is basically the Parliament of India. So our Parliament of India consists of a lot of people such as your prime minister, your council of ministers. So these all come as your Parliament of India. So executive and legislature of your union means the center, right? So like we say union government, central government, these both are the same. So the Parliament of India includes your prime minister and cabinet of ministers. So this includes your Lok Sabha and your Rajya Sabha. We all have studied before, but if you have not, let me just brief you that Lok Sabha is known as the House of People and Rajya Sabha is known as the Council of States. So Lok Sabha is the lower house and Rajya Sabha is the upper house. Normally, when you have to pass a money bill, so it first goes through your Lok Sabha, then through your Rajya Sabha. Okay. Just giving you a brief. We will see this later through in the chapter 2. Okay. So now we get to see. So this is about the first point. Then second point talks about government and legislature of each state. So legislature of each state, every state has its own legislature. Okay. So in totality, it is known as Parliament of India. But if we talk statewide, it is called as the legislature. So that is the executive and legislature of the each state. So that is the state government basically. They include the chief minister, the governor, the council of ministers, and legislature of state is also known as your Vidhan Sabha. Okay, there are two things: Vidhan Sabha, Vidhan Parishad. So these both come under the second point. Then you have all local and other authorities within the territory of India. So within the territory of India, you local authorities, you have municipalities and panchayats, gram sabhas. Okay. As an example, if you want to elaborate, you can write this. I'm just explaining you so that you understand what I'm trying to say, convey through these points. Your fourth point is all local other authorities under the control of India. So see, there are few authorities, some authorities that are not within the country but outside the country, but the control of that, suppose Indian embassy can be in foreign countries also, have like USA or Dubai. They have Indian embassies, they are outside your jurisdiction, but the government of India has control on them. Okay, so this is the Article 12. So now we have some facts about Article 12. These do not come in exams normally, but the highlighted part, what I have highlighted, usually comes in exams. So just look at it. So what is Article 12 of Constitution? So Article 12 defines the term state, which is used in Part 3 of the Constitution while mentioning the provisions of fundamental rights of the Indian citizen. Now, fundamental rights of Indian citizens are some rights, some rules, some regulations that have been put on the Indian citizens that the government must abide while making laws. Fundamental rights can be freedom of speech, freedom of practicing any religion. So these are some rights. Since we all know that India is a secular country, so India has some fundamental rights that protects the citizens of that country. Now, is Article 12 a fundamental right? So in itself, Article 12 is not a fundamental right, but it defines the term state as a fundamental right in article entitled 14 to 35. So this article 14 to 35 that I've highlighted usually comes as a MCQ in your exam. Usually they'll give you like different options like article 20 to 28 like this to confuse you, but you should know the answer is article 14 to 35. Then we have, is judiciary a state under Article 12? So before answering this, let me tell you what judiciary is in a brief. So judiciary is that part or that organ of the government which interprets the laws and adjudicates the disputes. Okay, So there is no mention of judiciary as a state in Article 12, but judiciary cannot make rules that are itself volatile or fundamental rights. But see, judiciary does not come under Article 12. But that doesn't mean that it can make laws that can harm the fundamental rights of citizens. No, it cannot make rules that are in itself volatile of the fundamental rights. Okay. Then we have what is government. So this is what I was talking you. The second definition from Black Law's dictionary. So Black's Law dictionary defines government as the structure. You can either write structure or you can write framework, because framework is also a good way to explain a government. So it is a structure or framework of rules and principles that determines how a state is regulated, or how a state or organization is regulated. Okay. So next we see the difference, some main differences between state and government. So three difference each. You must learn all of these. They're very easy and it usually comes as a 3 marker in your exam. So, state has four essential elements: population, territory, government, and sovereignty. Now, while writing these four elements, I request all of you in your paper write them in order, because if you write government, population, sovereignty, territory, it will be wrong, even though these are the elements. But your teacher might not give you marks because it has to come in order. First population comes, then your territory gets decided, then you get your government, and then sovereignty. Okay. For government is only one element of state. Yeah, government is only one element of the state. Second difference, sovereignty is a hallmark of the state, means it is the final end point of the state. It belongs to the state. For government, the government exercises power on behalf of the state. Then the state has sovereign ownership and jurisdiction over its territory, means the state, whenever a state has a territory entitled under it, it has its own ownership on it. State is a territorial entity, means a state, how can you term something as a state? Only when it has a territorial entity attached to it and the territory belongs to the state. For government, government has the responsibility to preserve, protect, and defend the territory of state. So the government's main responsibility is to preserve it, protect it, and defend the territory of the state. So this is the differences. Next, we are going to see the emergence of state from a society. So basically, now we are going to see how from a society, how a state formed. Okay, before reading this, I would request all of you that you highlight whatever I have highlighted. Second of all, you must understand that first society comes, then only state gets formed. What all I have underlined, I'll be stressing on that more while explaining, because that are the key things that you will write in your exam. The things that I have not underlined, you do not have to write in your exam. Means, if you want, you can write, but they are unnecessary stuff. You don't need to learn this. Okay. So, first thing first, a state is usually described as a society which is politically organized. Wherever the term state comes, you must understand that that thing is politically organized. Okay, so whenever state is coming, that specific thing is associated with something that is organized in a proper way or a manner. So, state is described as a society that is politically organized. Society. Now, what is society? Society is an association, means it is a group, it is a collection of human beings who live a collective life. Collective life means they mingle on with other people and live a life together, and they form social relations to fulfill their needs of life. So, society is an association of human beings who live a collective life and form social relations to fulfill their needs of life. Now, whatever in the textbook they have given, I would suggest that you read it once and then you can explain in your own way. It's not very necessary that you write exactly to the point. uh, yes, it is mandatory that you write textbook terminologies. There are certain words such as state is described as society politically organized, so you should write these. But if you want to elaborate in your own way, that is not a problem, but you must not change. Like suppose in between you will see that, suppose definition of state we are seeing, so according to JW Garner you will see in quotation he has told something, so whatever is in quotation in your book, that must be exactly same, because you can't change the way someone has defined or explained it, right? That you can't write in your own way. Anything in quotation has to be written exactly from the textbook. Else if something you want to add on to it, that can be after you complete your quotation. But legal studies, you can add your own, your own imagination is not preferred a lot, because the legal, we talk about Constitution of India, and Constitution cannot be amended easily, we know that fact. So same way, I'm just giving you an example. Same way in your paper, you are not expected to elaborate a lot. You are supposed to write to the point as per the marks given in your paper. Suppose it's a three marker, so you're expected to write 6 points. So abide by the textbook definitions, but if you want to add on, you can. So yeah, coming back, society is an association of human beings who live a collective life and form social relations to fulfill their needs in life. Now, again, they have given one more definition. Society is a whole web of social relationship which is based on kinship affinity. Now, what is kinship and what is affinity? Kinship means blood relation. Okay. Suppose you have a succession, you must have heard this word heredity succession. You will see this in the second chapter, but just telling you, heredity succession is, suppose you must have seen in villages or in rural areas commonly. Suppose if a father of a family of a or you can say bread owner of a family is doing working in a factory, in their own factory, so it is expected that their children will continue their heredity and work in that factory. So this is heredity succession, means one after the other generation will follow the same rules, norms and traditions of the family. So kinship affinity is your blood relation. Affinity is the bonding that you have. Okay, so a social relation based on kinship affinity, language affinity, religious affinity, and common consents of individuals, and territorial affinity. Okay, so these are the few types of affinity that you see: kinship affinity, language affinity, religious affinity, and so common conscience of individuals, and territorial affinity. So when a society is governed by a common set of laws, rules, regulations, and it obeys a supreme authority, it is qualifies to be a state. So what they're telling is that जब एक society एक common set के rules, laws एंड रेगुलेशंस फॉलो करता है, और वो एक कॉमन ओबे, एक सुप्रीम अथॉरिटी को ओबे करता है. एक सुप्रीम अथॉरिटी क्या होती है? गवर्नमेंट ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर स्टेट. Okay, so when it obeys a supreme authority, तभी ही we can qualify it to be a state. Then only it becomes qualified to be a state. So then we see there were few famous phrases used by Aristotle. So Aristotle was a political thinker. You will see his name: J.W. Garner, Aristotle, MacLennan, Edward Jenks, James One. These all are some political thinkers. Thomas Hobbes. Then you will see Jean-Jacques Rousseau, John Locke. So these all are some philosophers and some politic thinkers who have given their different theories, definitions, their ideology. Okay, so you'll see this throughout all the chapters of legal studies that you'll be studying this year. So, some famous phrases given by Aristotle in his treatise Politics. He observed that man is a social animal and man is a political animal. See, this question, it comes as a question also, that famous phrase used by Aristotle in his treatise Politics was, man is a social animal, man is a political animal. In the light of above statement, justify the phrase. So, what you will write, see, man as a social animal implies that a man is basically, he is naturally inclined to live in a communities and interact with his social beings or with people, to form relations, social relations, to fulfill needs of life. And man as a political animal suggests that human beings need a political system to, to maintain peace, to maintain security, and to organize your collective well-being. So these ideas highlight the importance of your society and the governance in human life that has been explained by Aristotle in his policy. So this is what you will be writing as your answer. So thus the state is formed out of society. So this is how your state is formed out of your society. That is what the topic was telling. How is the state emerged out of society? This is how. Rest all what I've not underlined, you don't have to do it. Okay. Then we have definition of state. This is again very important. Please mark it. It comes usually. One more thing that I wanted to tell you. Your if they ask you in your exam what is state, you will write this definition by Black Law Dictionary, and in addition you will write these 4 points. Do not forget. Just don't write this, because usually it comes as a two marker, and if you write this as two marker, you will get just 1 mark, or even even half mark, because this is barely 2 lines. You will get half mark for this. But if you write this all 4 points also, you are inclined, or you are 100% you will get 2 out of 2 marks. Okay, and when they ask you definition of a state, please don't write Black Law Dictionary statement. You have to write J.W. Garner statement, what he has stated. Okay, in this, if they ask definition of state, you will just write these 5 or 4 lines. That's it. You will not add on anything of your own imagination or your opinion to it. No. So, according to J.W. Garner, state is a community of person more or less numerous. See, I will not be explaining you this statement of his, because this is very easy and this is something that you already know. Okay, so permanently occupying a definite proportion of territory, independent or nearly so, of external control, and possessing an organized government to which the great body of individual render habitual obedience. Okay, let me explain you. I'm sure you would have gotten it, but let me explain you. See, state is a community or person, right? When people come together and they form a society, only then can you get a state out of it. Then another thing we know, see, in the definition between state and government, the first point we saw that state has 4 essential elements. So these 4 essential elements have been elaborated here. First one was population. So this is what has been told in this line. State is a community or person more or less numerous. So this is population. Second is permanently occupying a definite proportion of territory. So this is territory. External control and possessing an organized government. External control means sovereignty, and possessing an organized government is government. So these are the 4 essential elements to which it renders habitual obedience. So you should always, it is, you must always show obedience towards the government. So the definition given by Garner has all the elements of state that we have seen. The state must possess 4 elements here, namely your population, territory, government, and sovereignty. This was your definition of state. Next, you have theories on the origin of state. Theories on origin of state. So, political philosophers have given different theories on origin of state. So, you have mainly theory of kinship, patriarchal theory, matriarchal theory, divine theory, and social contract theory. So, you have 5 theories. But in the last theory, that is your social contract theory, you have different ideologies by 3 philosophers. First, you have Thomas Hobbes, then John Locke, and then Jean Jacques. Thomas Hobbes and John Locke they were both political philosophers from England, and Jean Jacques Rousseau was from France. You don't have to know this. I'm just telling you so that you remember. Okay, and one more thing you should keep in mind, the books of the three of these philosophers. While writing answer, it is preferred that you mention that where have they told this. So for Thomas Hobbes, it was in his literacy work Leviathan. We'll see this later. I'm just telling you so you can note it down somewhere in your key box or somewhere if you are writing a textbook. For then for your John Locke, it was your two theses of government, and for your Jean-Jacques Rousseau, it was the general will of people, or he even mentioned in it in his social contract theory. Okay, so the first theory we are going to see is theory of kinship. Again, as I said, you kinship is basically blood relationship. So, the theory of kinship on the origin of state is based on sociological facts. Means these are facts. These are not assumptions, they are facts. So, theory of kinship on the origin of state is based on sociological facts. So, the earliest advocate of this theory is Aristotle. Means the first person or the earliest person who had given a proper structure to this theory was Aristotle. In his treatise Politics, Aristotle had stated that society of many families is called a village, and for every family is governed by a elder. You must have seen, if you belong to a village or if you have gone to rural areas, you must have seen you have in every household you have this elder member who acts as a head of the family, right? His instructions are carried out throughout the family's heritage, and his traditions that he or she used to follow is also carried out throughout in the family. So, when society of many families is called a village, for every family is governed by an elder. When many village join themselves they together, they form one society. So, family was the unit of society at the beginning. The family was the unit of the society. Many families used to form a society. Then we see blood relation and kinship. They brought members of the family together, and all of those members of family, they accepted the authority of the head of the family. They accepted that okay, he is the eldest, he or she is the eldest, he or she will, whatever he or she will say will be followed as a custom or norms of a family. So the common ancestor was the symbol of kinship. Kinship created society and society created state. With expansion of family, it led to the formation of clans. And expansion of clans, your tribes came into existence, and ultimately state came into existence. So in your exam, when you're writing, you can support this question and answer with a Venn diagram, or not a Venn diagram, sorry, you can like a flow chart, a simple arrow flow chart. You can first make family, village, clans, tribes, state, like a flow chart, a arrow flow chart. Okay, so this is how your state came into existence by a kinship theory. Now we get to see patriarchal theory. So, according to patriarchal theory, the eldest male descent of the family had an important role to play. Eldest See, eldest male descent had an important role to play. Eldest male descent, only male, not female, male descent. The eldest male descent of the family had a very important role to play. So, this theory found support from Sir Henry Maine. Okay, Sir Henry Maine in his book The Spirit of Law. So this date that they have given you is important. You must write it in your answer. 1822 to 1888. It has come as a MCQ in your past years. So in his book The Spirit of Law, Maine had explained the state developed out of a family and unrestrained autocracy of family. Unrestrained means uh, not much bothered about autocracy of family, because at that time this patriarchal theory was followed all around the rural areas at that time. So it was unrestrained autocracy, means रोक टोक नहीं थी, मतलब you can do it. See, what is autocratic form of government? It is wherein the power is in the hands of very few people, right? Autocracy, You have studied, right? Autocracy. Um, so so this unrestrained autocracy was in the head of the family, was in the head, called the patria potestas. Now, if you're writing any theory, these words that you see, you have to write in exam. You don't write these two words, you will not get. If it's a four marker, you will not get 4 out of 4. I'm guaranteeing you, even if you have written 5 pages, you will not get. You have to mention this word patria potestas. Patria potestas was who? Patria potestas was the father as the final authority. Patria potestas. So under Patria potestas, the eldest male parent of family had the final and unqualified authority over the family and the household. So he expanded the family ties by polygamy. Polygamy is basically when a male marries a lot of women, means where a husband has a lot of women. Okay, you can say like that. So for male, when males marry a lot of women, it is called polygamy, and when women have many husbands, it is called polyandry. This also you should keep in mind. So on this basis, kinship was used to form a state. So then again over here also you can make that flow chart. Families form villages, extension of villages form tribes or clans, and ultimately form the state. Then you have your matriarchal theory, which is a bit longer they have given you, but you don't have to do this at this part at all. You just have to do this only what I have underlined, or you can highlight it. So, matriarchal theory finds support from political thinkers such as Mac Lennon and Edward Jenks. So, these political thinkers' names that they have given you in each theory must be written in your answer if you want to get full marks. For kinship, you had your earliest advocate, who was Aristotle. Then you had your patriarchal theory, which was supported by a Sir Henry Maine, and your matriarchal theory finds support from MacLennan and Edward James. Even from these two, if you write one also, it is okay, but you must write one political thinker's name. Okay, it is very important because the teacher gets to know then that you have a clear understanding, you have read. See, what is the difference between a person who has not read nicely and a person who has read nicely? These key points. If you write the political thinker's name, the teacher knows that you have studied well. Whereas if someone doesn't write, she knows that they have not studied as good as you. Okay, so you must mention these names. Okay, no, maybe not for your first term exam that is coming up, but for your higher exam, the ones with the higher marks, you must write these key points. Okay, so it finds matriarchal theory finds support from political thinkers such as Edward James and MacLennan. So, according to these political thinkers, patriarchal families were non existent in primitive ages. So, they used to feel that these patriarchal families that used to be there, this did not only exist in primitive ages. Okay, so here we see polyandry. There was polygamy. Here it is polyandry. Polyandry is where a woman has many husbands. Polyandry is when a woman has many husbands and was the highest authority of the house. So polyandry was the highest authority of the house. MacLennan described mater familias as the matria potestas. Matria familias means mother as a head, as the matria potestas means mother as the final authority. Mother, as the head of the family, is the final authority basically. Mater familias as the mater potestas. In the matter of possession and disposal of property of the family. So, according to McLennan and Edward Jenks, mother was the final authority in case of possession or disposal of property of the family. So, this was by McLennan. Now, as per Edward Jenks, he told that there were some Australian tribes that time that were organized in some sort of tribes known as the totem groups, or you can write totem groups. So I suggest when you're writing, you write totem groups in inverted commas, because it is better, it gives the eye catcher while someone is reading your answer. So tribes known as totem groups. So totem groups were not organized on the basis of your blood relation, means these were not organized on base of your kinship affinity, as we saw earlier in your emergence of state from your society, not from basis of kinship affinity, but on the basis of blood relation, not on the basis of blood relation, sorry, not on the basis of blood relation, but by a common symbol like a tree or an animal. Okay, so men of one totem group would marry all women of their generation belonging to the other totem group. So, thus, the system of marriage included polygamy as also polyandry, and kinship and paternity in such case could not be determined, but maternity was a fact. Okay, so this is about your matriarchal theory. Next, you have divine theory. Divine theory exam point of view is not important. It comes as an MCQ. Normally, it's not very important. Okay, but we'll be of course covering it. So, according to divine theory, this theory says that state is established and governed by God or some superhuman or a king, that is agent of God. So this theory has found support from political thinkers like James One and Sir Robert Filmer. You must have heard this name before, Sir Robert Filmer. Okay, so this theory implies individuals should obey and support a definite ruler with high moral status, which is equivalent to God. Okay, so this implies that we citizens of a country should obey and support the ruler with high moral status as being compared to a god. Okay, so this theory adds moral character to the function of the state, right? What all functions of state we have seen, this is adding moral character towards it. So Hinduism, as so they're given different religions here, and their their gods, if you can say, or their incarnations. So Hinduism considered King Rama and Krishna as divine incarnations on this world. Islamic states also seek to uphold the reign of God Allah on earth, and Christianity trace the origin of political theory to the will of God. Okay, next we have the most important theory, which is your divine theory, which is your social contract theory. This theory is very important. Please mark a star besides this theory. It comes as a 5 marker in exam, 6 marker, 5 marker. See, I'll show you your exam pattern also. I'll show you where this has come. So this is where it has come. It has come as a 5 marker here. Look, explain the comparative view on social contract theory. So you will write all the three philosophers, their imagination or their point of view on the social contract theory. It has come as a 5 marker in your paper. So it usually comes as a 5 marker in your paper, so you must keep in note. After completing both the chapters till where I have mentioned today, I will be doing this paper with you as a revision, and we will be doing the exercises also. After this chapter, the exercise related to it also will be doing, covering in this lecture. Okay, so I'll be telling you how to write your answers so that your teacher doesn't cut mark. I have already explained you, but even if you want more, I'll be telling you later on. So, social contract theory is based on the mutual agreement and mutual consent of the people to form the state. So, wherever you get social contract theory as a name, you should associate it with mutual agreement, means both parties, both sides are agreeing. Mutual consent of people is there to form your state. So these theories served as the basis of modern democracy. Okay. So okay. So now you have three philosophers, their way of explaining social contract theory. As I said, John Locke and Thomas Hobbes was from England, and Jean Jacques Rousseau was from France. These are the three philosophers who had propounded this theory, who gave a framework to this theory. Okay, So first we'll see Thomas Hobbes. So you will see I have written above all these stories some key things in blue color. This you should write in your textbook. It is important. So according to Thomas Hobbes, it was a nature of constant war. So, Thomas Hobbes was an English political philosopher, and in his literacy work, Leviathan, as I was telling you, he explains the origin of state. So, he begins his thesis with the concept of state, which he characterized as pre-social phase of human nature. So their lives were under constant struggle with nature. And Thomas Hobbes also says that every man was an enemy to every other man, where every man was enemy to every other man. The life of human beings were solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. So this is what Thomas Hobbes says. He says that the lives of the human beings or the humans were under constant war with the nature. He characterizes it as a pre-social phase of human nature. Okay. Then he says, according to Hobbes, a change in the government meant the dissolution of state. See, we all must note that first your state comes and then government comes. If there is no state, there can be no government. State comprises of population. If there is no population, can there be government? No. Government's main aim is to protect the population of state. So when there is state, then only comes government. So Hobbes was telling that if you have to change your government, your state will also dissolute with it because your state is dependent on government. Okay, your state is dependent on government and not vice versa. Okay, so your if you have to change your government, it means there has to be dissolution of state. This is why he did not maintain difference between state and government as a political institution. So this was Thomas Hobbes' way of understanding social contract theory. Now we'll see what did John Locke say. So according to John Locke, the state of nature was at peace and harmony. So John Locke told in his book Treaties of Government, Two Treaties of Government. Was the book written by who? It can come as a one mark, a very important. Wherever they mention a book's name in your book, in your NCRT, wherever they name any book like in this case, Two Treaties of Government, it comes as a one marker. Who wrote the book Two Treaties of Government? John Locke, Jean Jacques Rousseau, then J.W. Gardner, then Sir Henry Maine. You have to choose. So you should know it's John Locke. Or they can ask in the other way. John Locke wrote which book? Two Treaties of Government. This. So you should know that John Locke wrote in his book Two Treaties of Government. He explained that the state of nature was not a state of war. Now, we see that Thomas Hobbes was telling that the state of nature was under constant war with the human beings were in the constant war with the nature. But here, John Locke is saying that it wasn't in a state of nature was not in a state of war, but a state of peace, natural right, preservation, goodwill, and mutual assistance. So these are some opposing things that we are seeing. He is telling that they are in a state of nature, and John Locke is telling no, they are not in a state of nature. They are in a state of peace and harmony. So John Locke's state of nature was pre-political, and according to your Thomas Hobbes, it was pre-social, right? It was pre-social. We see here it was pre-social, but according to John Locke, it was pre-political. Okay, so the state of nature ensured three rights to individuals relating to life, liberty and property. Liberty means freedom, your freedom to follow, freedom, liberty to follow religion, liberty to speak, liberty means freedom, freedom to follow any religion, freedom to be you can be atheist or you can be anything, so you have the freedom. So John Locke told the state of nature ensured these three rights to individual life, liberty, and property. Not, I'm sorry if I told poverty, no, property. Life, liberty, and Property. At that time, property was considered a very essential factor. We have studied also in SST that only men above 24 years were entitled to property. So, property was a very essential factor in determining the wealth that an individual held at that point of time. So, John Locke told the state of nature ensured three rights to individuals relating to life, liberty, and property. Okay, then they say that life was inconvenient because each individual had to interpret the law of nature for himself. Okay, this you don't have to believe it. Then we come to your okay. So John Locke also told, he introduced the concept of limited government. So in terms of rulers, their power and their functions and tenure. So John Locke was a huge believer of something called limited monarchy. Monarchy is when the power is in the hand of the crown. Crown means in the hand of the ruler. Okay. So monarchy was one of the oldest form of government as we know. So he believed in limited monarchy. He said that the king was the trustee of people, and if the ruler abused his powers, means if he breached his powers, he went against his powers, or he breached the trust of the people, so he could be changed by revolt by the people. Okay, this was according to John Locke. Okay, next we see according to Jacques Rousseau. So Jean Jacques Rousseau describes state of nature to be bliss and peaceful. So some positive things, if they ask among the three philosophers who were more optimistic and positive, it was Jean Jacques Rousseau and John Locke. Only Thomas Hobbes, as we saw, was the one who told that state of nature is under constant war. Rest both were mostly telling that it is in peace and harmony, according to your John Locke, and Jean Jacques Rousseau is telling it is state of nature is bliss and peaceful. So, according to Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the general will of people led to creation of state. The people's will created led to the creation of the state. So, Rousseau, in his literacy work, The Social Contract, described the state of nature to be bliss and happiness. So, with the passage of time, increase in population, and disparity of wealth and power, life had become intolerable. Simplicity and happiness in the faces of people had disappeared, and they had entered into social contract to preserve their rights. Okay, and Rossio also says that government is just a tool to execute the popular will of the people. It is just merely a tool. It's just a tool, according to him. So these were the three philosophers, their thought on social contract theory. Okay, they have given you a lot, right? One full page. You don't have to do this. This all stuff is not to be learned. Okay, this diagram you can learn, not necessary. Okay, so this is all about the theories on origin of state. Next, we are going to see what are the four elements of the state. So first we have your population. So population is an essential element of state. It is very important for a state to have population. Then only it can be called a state. So it is the people who make the state. Without them, a state cannot. The state cannot exist, or they cannot be any state. So the population should be large enough to make a state and sustain it. So population इतनी होनी चाहिए कि एक स्टेट बन सके और वो रह पाए. Okay, तो एक there was one philosopher called Plato. In his book The Laws, he suggested, उसने he just suggested, उसकी उसका मानना था ऐसा. शायद it can be wrong, maybe it is correct, but according to him, he said that a figure of 5,040 citizens is ideal for constituting a state. So, according to Plato, he told in his book The Laws that टू मेक अ स्टेट और टू एक स्टेट बनाने के लिए 5,040 सिटीजन्स होने चाहिए. अब एरिस्टोटल बोलता है कि स्टेट states that the population of state should neither be too large that the administration becomes inconvenient, ना तो वो छोटी होनी चाहिए कि people do not lead a life of peace and security. Okay, so this is about population. Second is territory. So state is a territorial institution or entity, as we have seen. So the fixed territory and population of state gives it a physical identity in the eyes of municipal law and international law. So the fixed territory and population of state gives it a physical identity in the eyes of municipal law and international law. So territory is therefore generally described as the land which belongs to the state. Now, this paragraph you must have seen that I have not underlined anything. From this, you can underline maybe this territory is a geographical area that is owned and controlled by government or country, just this. Rest you don't have to write. And just again, one more thing I want to highlight, this what they have given you: Marino has an area of 36 square miles. You do not have to write this at all in your exam. Why? Because this book is 2022 rationalized to 2022 to 23, so this figure changes of course every year, so you don't have to write this. These are the wrong details that they have given you in the textbook, because see, legal studies textbook doesn't change over time, so they are not giving revised edition for legal studies. So suppose you want to get full marks. Suppose, let's say you want full marks, of course you want full marks, but suppose you are aiming on getting 80 out of 80. Okay, so then I would recommend, if you are giving examples and all, then you go to Google search and get the estimated approx figures as per 2025 and then write an exam, because these figures won't be accepted. And they will, if you write this, yeah, you will not get marks at all, and your marks might get deducted as well. Okay, see, if your teacher is lenient, she might not care, ignore this and give you, suppose 3 markers, she might give you 3 marks for everything else. But if your teacher is strict, she might cut marks for this and give you 2 marks or two and a half. Okay, so territory is a land which belongs to the state and individuals. Okay, it is important that a state should possess an undisputed territory of its own, which it should have exclusive jurisdiction on. Second is government. So, government is the political administrative organ of your state. State operates through the government. एक political administrative organ of state होता है, ठीक है? और state operate करता है government के through. Government is a sum total of the legislature, executive, and judicial activities of a state. Then government of a state makes provision for the services of defense, foreign relations, levy of tax, all of it. Government of a state should be organized so that shall be so organized that it enforces law to maintain order, peace and security. So जो एक स्टेट की गवर्नमेंट होती है, उसको बहुत ज़्यादा ऑर्गेनाइज होना पड़ता है कि वो ऐसे लॉज को मेंटेन करे कि जिससे सबका सोशल वेलफेयर इज मेंटेन्ड एंड पीस एंड सिक्योरिटी इज आल्सो देयर. Next and the last element of state is sovereignty. So sovereignty is a supreme authority of the state, the ultimatum power of the state. So sovereignty is the most essential ingredient and the characteristic of the formation of the state. No state can exist without internal and external sovereignty. So internal sovereignty and external sovereignty you will see over here also in your paper. They have given you a one, what is this, 2 into 4. Okay, it's a 2 marker, so they have given you a 2 marker to write 1 point difference between internal and external sovereignty. So you just write this line that I've identified for internal sovereignty, what I have highlighted. And for this you can write this. For external sovereignty, you can write this line and this line, what I've underlined. For a 1 marker, it's more than, for 2 markers, sorry, it's more than enough. Okay. Write it in points so that it looks that you have added some quality of it. Okay. So internal sovereignty means that people residing within the territory of state should be given unqualified obedience. Support to the authority of the state means the people, जो people state या territory के अंदर रहते हैं, they should be given should give their obedience and support to the authority of state. जो जैसे देखो, फॉर अ फंक्शनिंग ऑफ अ स्टेट इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सपोज इफ वी टेक एग्जांपल ऑफ इंडिया, इंडिया इज डेमोक्रेटिक इन नेचर. सो टू द इफेक्टिव फंक्शनिंग ऑफ इंडिया इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि जो इंडिया के लोग हैं वो प्रॉपरली अपने गवर्नमेंट को, यू नो, इट डज दे डोंट ब्रीच द लॉ एंड ऑर्डर दैट द गवर्नमेंट हैज entitled towards them. Okay, so it's very important कि लोग, that the people residing should give their full obedience and support to the authority of state for effective functioning. Okay, this is internal sovereignty. External sovereignty is understood as the freedom of state from external control and influence. State should be free to enact its own laws and foreign policy without any external pressure or any external interference. Okay, next you have your international. Okay, this you can leave. Yeah, so these are the main four elements of your state. Now you have your different types of states. So we have six type of states that we'll be seeing over here. First one is your minimal states. Okay, now your minimal states, see the word suggests minimal means something that is small, in a small quantity. Minimal can be associated with the word minimum. So this starting ka para that I've not underlined, leave it. It's not important at all. We'll be starting from here. So according to John Locke was who? One of the social contract theories philosophers. The one who had written the book Two Treaties of Government. That is John Locke. So John Locke's theory states acts. He told that state acts as a night watchman. John Locke's theory states that he told that the state that we have acts like a night watchman, means that whose services are called upon. मतलब उसकी जो services है वो तब बुलाई जाती हैं जब हमारा state is threatened, जब हमारे देश में खतरा होता है. whose services are called upon when orderly existence is threatened, जब जो normal course of existence है वो threaten होता है. So the state must exercise basic role of providing protection from the external attacks, enforcing agreements and maintaining domestic order. Okay, so minimal states play a minimum role in interfering with the social and economic life of subjects. So state must exercise basic role. State का basic role क्या होता है? Providing protection from external attacks. External attacks से protection प्रोवाइड करना एक स्टेट का बेसिक रोल होता है. एंड इन्फोर्सिंग एग्रीमेंट्स, मेंटेनिंग योर डोमेस्टिक ऑर्डर, दिस ऑल इज सम बेसिक रोल ऑफ स्टेट्स. सो minimal states play a minimum role in interfering with social economic life of subjects. वो बहुत छोटा सा रोल प्ले करते हैं with interfering with the social economic life of subjects. Second, we have developmental states. So these states have a strong state intervention as well as extensive regulation planning. So these are बिल्कुल मिनिमल स्टेट्स के उल्टा. मतलब मिनिमल स्टेट्स मिनिमम रूल प्ले करते हैं, बट डेवलपमेंट स्टेट्स में दे हैव अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टेट इंटरवेंशन एज वेल एज एक्सटेंसिव रेगुलेशन एंड प्लानिंग. So, developmental state as a state is focused on the economic developments and take necessary policy to accomplish that objective. They are focused on your economic development as a whole. Then you have social democratic states. Social democratic states are basically based on the state functions on the principles of fairness, equality, justice, equal distribution of wealth. The state is considered necessary to promote economic growth and social well-being of its people who reside within the state's territory. Then you have collectivized states. So the state makes laws to control the private property of a citizen, and People's Republic of China follows such policy. So in your paper, your first one marker was this itself. Which state is described as the state which makes laws to control the private property of citizen? So the state makes laws to control private property of citizen. It is the collective life state. Okay, it was given, I think, in your in yeah, it was given in your two marker as well, right? 1 point difference between minimal and collective life state. So collective life state is They undertake control of economic life by bringing common ownership of all economic resources. So they have the state makes laws to control the private property of the citizens, and minimal states have very minimal role in interfering in social economic life of subjects, and the state must exercise basic role of providing protection from external attacks, enforcing agreements, and you're maintaining domestic order. Then you have totalitarian states. So these states, like you have seen like philosophers like Hegel and dictators like Hitler and Mussolini held that state must have absolute power. मतलब state के पास पूरी power होनी चाहिए. The citizens of the state residing within the state have no power at all. Only the people, the ruler of the dictators of the state have the power, and individuals have no right against the state. And according to this view, the state can do no wrong. Means who is the state? The state is the dictator basically. So according to this view, the dictator can do nothing wrong. He or she is always right, irrespective of any policy he or she introduces. So the whole life of individual is within the jurisdiction of the state. Like North Korea. North Korea, you cannot. It is not mandated that you can, you can escape that country. Why? Because you have to live within jurisdiction of that state. Totalitarian state is basically dictatorship. Modern welfare state, the example India is a modern welfare state. Means they have functions include modern welfare state are like, maintenance of law order, establishment of justice, defense, maintenance of public health, and sanction, water supply, transport, communication, currency, inflation. All of these are there. Okay, just write 4, 5, 6 of these is enough. Okay, so with this, we are done with our first chapter. We'll be moving on to our second chapter. Before that, I'll make you do the exercises. So exercises, I'll not be doing all the questions because we have done this. Okay, I'll just be explaining you these ones. So if they tell define state, you will write J.W. Garnier's what is state, Black Law Dictionary. Okay. So according to J.W. Garnier's definition, what is state? So you will be writing this statement. This statement you will be writing. J.W. Garner states that state is a community of persons more or less numerous, permanently occupying a definite proportion of territory, independent or nearly so, of external control, possessing and organized government to which great body of inhabitants render habitual obedience. All of this, okay. Then you have from your fifth question, I'll make you do. So Hobbes stated man is born free everywhere he is in chains. In the light of this statement, in which type of state would a man be chained the most and why? Simple. Totalitarian states. Right, give an example of such a state. North Korea. North Korea is example of such a state. See, state is not necessary that state. You can write North Korea also. North Korea is a country, but it's fine. Okay, you can write. So, if given a choice of residence, in which type of state would you like to reside? Give reason. I would like to reside in modern welfare state. Why I will like to modern welfare state? Because it has objective of social welfare, modern welfare. Okay, like it helps in the law and order, maintenance of law and order, and all of these you can write. Okay, protection of people, and increase spirit or cultural unity among the masses. So all of these are included. So I would like to reside in model welfare state. Give reason, you can elaborate and write. Give reason for both. Okay, just not give reason iske liye not. You have to give for both. Why they're asking. Okay. Six, Patria, a locatable place in the world map, has a considerable territory under its control, consisted of a population of 1 million people. It was ruled by Col George. However, the place did not gain any international political recognition, as one of the major elements was missing. Identify and explain all the elements of state. So, one of the major elements was missing. Major element is sovereignty, so you'll write about sovereignty. and they have told to explain all the elements of state. So first you will write one of the major element that is missing was sovereignty, explain sovereignty, then you will write about population, territory and government. So for sovereignty you will have to write all of it, all of this, and then you will write internal and external sovereignty as well. Okay, then you have the seventh question. Seventh question is what? Just give me 1 minute. Yeah, okay. Seventh question is, how has the concept of state been defined in Constitution of India? Why do you think it has been included in Part 3 of the Constitution? So, how has the concept of state been defined in the Constitution of India? So, you will write, basically, you will, 1 second, let me just open one more file of this so I can explain you Constitution of India. So, you'll write the 4 points, okay? 1 second. Yeah, over here. So you will write the 4 points. Okay. How has it been explained? You will write these 4 points, and then they have asked you, why do you think it has been included in Part 3 of the Indian Constitution? Because it is a fundamental right. Because it is a provision of fundamental right to Indian citizen, and it has been entitled from question from Article 14 to from Article 14 to 35. Okay, I'm just looking out for these some more questions that I can give you. I have a reference book. See, for 11th, I'm not referring you to any reference book. If you want for legal studies, you can take all in one book. It's a good book. They have given you good questions also in it. I'm just seeing if they have given you anything. Okay. Um, all right. So, next question is, how would you differentiate between India as a state and various states of India? See, in this you can write about India. How can you differentiate between India as a state and various states of India? You can write. Elements, theories on India as a state and elements of and various states of India. Okay, so I'll just get back on the answer to this question. I have written it very nicely somewhere. So next question is, imagine yourself living in a state of nature. Which aspects of life would you want to give up, and what would you expect in return? What kind of social contract would you enter into with whom? So I will enter into social contract with, I think I would Jean Jack Rousseau, because he is going with general will of people. Even you can say John Locke also. What would you want to give up, and what would you expect in return? What kind of, okay, with whom you can, this is your point of view answer, you can write as per your understanding. So our question was, how would you differentiate between India as a state and various state of India. So I've written this question. Let me tell you the answer. So basically, they're asking you that India is a state and the various states of India. So, see, India is a sovereign and it's an independent country. Okay, and various states of India are, we know that 28 states and 8 unions. Okay, so India as a state is one country, united and sovereign. States of India are within the country and they have a definite jurisdiction. Okay, so this is mainly, they will not ask you in your exam this question. Okay, they don't ask. I'm pretty sure they will not ask. Main important is this one, and your seventh one, fifth, sixth, seventh are important. Okay, so exercises may you have this only. Now, if I want to give you additional question, they can ask you, can be And they have given one match the following. I'll just tell you. It is they have given you thinkers and their ideas. So Plato had given the laws. Aristotle had given your politics. Rosio had given your social contract, and Locke had given two treatises of government. This they have given you. Assertion reasoning is okay. Then they have given you who is the earliest proponent of the kinship theory, Aristotle. This we know. Then for long question answer, let me see. So they can ask you how does social contract theory explain origin of state? Briefly explain the theories of different thinkers of social contract tradition as far as the state of nature and need of social contract is concerned. So this you can write by yourself. Okay. Then I don't think anything else what I've missed out they can ask you. This is it. Then they can. This is mainly this chapter social contract theory. So which theory according to you is the most convincing in historically explaining origin of state? So I would say it would be social contract theory. Yeah. Then yeah, this is what one objective that I was telling you. Under which article are fundamental rights contained? So 14 to 35. See in this options they have given you article 12 to 35, 10 to 35, 1 to 5, and option D is none of these. So don't get confused and think none of these तो कभी answer हो ही नहीं सकता. So it must be rest. No, none of these because 14 to 35 is not there. So matriofamilias is a concept undefined under which among the following. So matriarchal theory. Then okay, then dash is the hallmark of state sovereignty. This we know. Okay, then moving on to the next chapter, forms and organs of the government. So we are doing this today till the okay. So in this chapter, we'll be seeing the organs of the government. Introduction to organs of government. We'll be seeing the forms of government, the four forms of government: monarchy, aristocracy, dictator, and democracy. And then we'll be seeing the general functions of legislature as a organ. What are the functions of legislature as an organ of the government? Okay, so first of all, we'll be seeing introduction to the organs of government. So, in the preceding chapter, means the previous chapter that we read, we saw that government is an essential element of the state, and we also saw that government can be set government can be said to be a set of institutions that exercises control through the legal devices and imposes penalties on those who break the law. So it primarily performs three functions: making law, enforcing the law, and adjudicating disputes. So these three functions are they're termed as legislature, executive, and judicial functions. So basically, your judicial function. So your legislature makes the laws, executive implements the laws, and judiciary interprets the laws or adjudicates the laws. Okay, this system of distribution of power among the three organs of government is known as separation of power. Power is getting separated. See this line over here, I missed out. You can write it. A government normally functions by distributing its functions. See, a government cannot handle all these functions by itself. So it distributes its functions between different levels of organs who perform the specific functions as I had told you. So these three organs are known as separation of power. So now we'll see the four forms of government. So first you have monarchy. One good example of monarchy is Japan. This what I have written now. Japan here, then here Spain, Sweden, Denmark, then North Korea, India. These are the examples of the specific forms of government. So monarchy का example होता है Japan. Monarchy, if we talk, monarchy is the oldest form of government. Monarchy is the oldest form of government. Okay, monarchy is a political regime in which the supreme and final power rests in the hand of a single person who wears a crown. So, J.W. Garnett stated that in the widest sense, any government in which the supreme and final authority is in the hand of a single person is called monarchy. It is immaterial whether he or she, whoever is the monarch, has gotten his position from election or by hereditary succession. Okay, this is monarchy. Then we have aristocracy. So, Aristocracy prevails in Spain, Sweden, and Denmark. Word aristocracy originates from the Greek word aristo, which means to rule, and cretin, which means the best. So sorry, I'm really sorry, I jumbled it up. Aristo means the best, and cretin means to rule. So it means the best rule is aristocracy. Aristocratic form of government is wherein political power of the state is vested in the hands of a few people. These can be professionals, landowners, priests, soldiers, professional land men of wealth. Okay, so J.W. Gardner, again J.W. Gardner comes, even here he came, then here also J.W. Gardner is telling that aristocracy is a form of government in which relatively small portion of citizens have voice in choosing public officials and determining public policies. Okay, then you have dictatorship. Dictatorship, in the words of Alfred Coben, it is a government of man who has not obtained position by inheritance but either by force or consent or the combination of both. He possesses absolute sovereignty, and dictatorial form of government is the rule by a single person or determined set of individuals. He controls and exercises political power of the state. He occupies the position by force or invasion, and he is not accountable to or answerable to the people or the citizens of the state. Modern dictatorship plays a role in totalitarian states. Okay, next is democracy. One good example is India. For dictatorship, good example was North Korea. For democracy, we have India. So basically, democracy as a form of government is one wherein the people are very powerful. The word democratic originated from a Greek word demos, meaning people, and kratia, meaning rule. So it means rule by popular vote or rule by people. So Abraham Lincoln, who was a former president of US, in his speech told that democracy defined democracy as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So, government of the people means equal distribution of political power among the citizens of the state. Government by the people means participation of citizens in forming the government. Government for the people means the rule of government for the promotion of the public welfare. Rule of government for promotion of public or social welfare. So now, as in sovereignty, we had two types. Same way in democracy, we have two types: direct or pure democracy, or indirect or representative democracy. So in exam, if you get an MCQ, you must note that if they tell pure democracy, you should not get confused. Pure democracy is nothing but direct democracy, and representative democracy is nothing but indirect democracy. So J.W. Garner told a pure democracy is one in which the will of state is formulated or expressed directly or immediately through the people in mass meetings. Okay, this form of democracy is prevalent in Switzerland. The voters meet in an open air parliament known as Federal Assembly, and they prepare a bill. When this bill gets accepted, it becomes a law. Okay, and then representative or indirect democracy is based on universal suffrage. Usually, India follows representative or indirect democracy, wherein the citizens of the country elect their representative on the basis of popular vote, and these representatives work for the welfare of the people. So all anything that happens in the state, okay, they are accountable and answerable to the people in general. So J.W. Garnier told, this kind of government resembles its pure form in the sense that political power remains vested in the people, but the two differ in respect to their exercise. So what happens here is that J.W. Garner told this type of democracy is very similar to your pro-democracy. Why? Because the power is still in hands of people. That side they had direct power. Here they are having indirect power. Okay, still they are the ones representing the representatives on popular vote. But they differ in respect to exercise. Over there, it was direct, immediate exercise. But here, the representatives are exercising accordingly. Okay, so in contrast to monarchy or dictatorial form of government, the citizens of state are having equal opportunity to participate. Monarchy may you are having it lies in the hand of the crown or the ruler, and in dictatorial form it lies in the people have no say. So it differs because in democracy you have equal opportunity of participation, and the political power remains in the hand of people. Then you have presidential parliamentary form of government. So for this, I have made a difference table for you over here. I have made a difference table for you over here. So as you can see here, parliamentary form of government. You will parliamentary form of government. Accountability. It is executive and accountable to legislature. This is the executive. Okay, for parliamentary, the executive is accountable to the legislature. Here, executive is not accountable. Here, here you have dual executive, prime minister and president. Here you have president as head of state and government. Prime minister can dissolve lower house, president cannot dissolve lower house. Then mainly it is that prime minister and the council of ministers are answerable to legislature. Their president and secretaries are not answerable to the legislature. Then you have the president is the nominal head of the state, while prime minister is head of government. Then the president is the real head of the government. In that case, you don't have uh, prime minister who is associated with any works. Okay, so this is presidential and parliamentary and presidential form of government. Okay, then you have. After this, you will be having unitary and federal. So for unitary federal form of government, unitary form is great, has the center has great authority. In federal form, center has less authority. Powers is concentrated in one hand. In unitary and federal is divided between center and state. So unitary form is this system provided for single citizenship, and federal mate is for dual citizenship. For the unitary you have UK, and for federal you have USA. So this usually doesn't come. Then you have unicameral, bicameral. So you just see this paragraph. Unicameral legislature implies one legislative house. This system of legislature is seen in Turkey, which is known by the name Grand National Assembly, and in Bangladesh by the name House of Nation. So then India has 28 states and 8 union territories. So you just learn these union territories: Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Telangana, and Uttar Pradesh. Then the difference between unicameral legislature and bicameral legislature: you have unicameral may you have one house, bicameral two. Here concentrated in one house, the power is concentrated in one house. Here it is shared between two houses. Decision making is flexible, and bills are introduced, and as bills are introduced and passed in single house, this is time consuming as both the house have to pass the bill. Hence the approval takes tedious is a tedious task. Suitability: unicameral legislature is best suited to your smaller states. For bicameral is suited for your larger states. Then main organs of government and functions. So first you have general functions of legislature as organ. So this is what I'll be covering, 4 points, and then we are done. So the word parliament is derived from a French word parlor. Okay, parliament means meeting for discussion. Okay, so the first function of legislature as an organ of government, first is expressing and formulating the will of the state. So legislature formulates the and expresses the will of the state. So the will of the state is a representative democracy. It is the will, opinion, and sentiments of the citizens, public issues concerning them. So, in a monarchy or dictatorial government, the will of the state is the interest and objectives of the ruler. Basically, the citizen. It's not this, objectives of citizen. It's the objective of the ruler. Laws, when enacted, are called acts. Acts with a capital A. For example, your Consumer Protection Act of 1986. Then you have ensuring accountability to executive. So Article 75(3) of the Constitution of India states that the Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to the House of People. Parliament checks and ensures executive and administrative accountability through its control over finances. So, calling attention motion, and no confidence motion may be passed against council or ministers in the Lok Sabha. Then you have a bill is a statute in draft and cannot become a law unless it has received the approval from both the House of Parliament. Bill can be introduced only when the either by a minister when it is called government bill, or by a member other than minister when it's known as private member bill. So ordinary bills may originate in either of the House of Parliament, Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Money bill contains provisions of for imposition, abolition, alteration or regulation of any tax. Money bill can be only introduced in House of People, that is your Lok Sabha. It cannot be introduced in your Rajya Sabha, which is Council of States. Annual financial statement is the annual statement of the estimated receipts and the expenditure that the government has done to for ensuring the financial year. So, annual financial statement is an annual statement of the estimated receipts and expenditure of the government for ensuring financial year. So this has to be laid between both the houses of the parliament, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, both of these, and generally a bill is passed only after three readings. Okay, this has also come in your exam. Okay, this has also come as in your exam. Write brief note on money bill and annual financial statement. So it has also come in your exam. It has come as a three marker. Okay, so you should know that what you're writing it is relevant. um, See, for money bill you can write all bills related to money and finance of the country. Okay, money bill provisions, payment of money, withdrawal of money. Okay, money related basically. And annual financial statement, all money spent in the year. Okay, basically, like in your annual financial you will have your estimated receipts, expenditure of government and all of that. Okay, then you have third, legislature and its judicial functions. So legislature performs judicial functions like in the case of impeachment. Now impeachment can be done. Supreme Court, President, High Court, and Vice President are the people who can be impeached. Okay, then your the Constitution of India, the same what I just told you. It performs judicial functions while deciding privileges of members of the House. Okay, so incapacity is the reason why the vice president can be thrown out. Okay, so one fourth of the Lok Sabha sign the petition, then goes to the speaker. The send notice to the president. So this is done 14 days prior. So, state legislative assembly is also called as the Vidhan Sabha. Okay, so bill goes through Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, then it is called a law or a act. Then fourth point is legislature and administrative function. So in India, the elected members of both House of Parliament and elected members of legislative assemblies of the state form your electoral colleges. So to elect your president, the vice president is elected by your electoral college, comprising of the members of both House of Parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha elect two members as the Speaker and Deputy Speaker, while Rajya Sabha elect the Deputy Chairman and the of the Rajya Sabha. Deputy Chairman, also known as the Vice President. Okay, Chairman is nothing but Vice President of India. Okay, speaker maintains the decorum. Okay, deputy speaker you have. Okay, that's it. So this is it. That's what we are getting for as per the children what they had told me. This is what is coming for your recent exam. So I have done till here. Rest of the chapter also will do for the further exam later in the video that will come maybe after 1 2 weeks. Let's see the exercises here. So exercise may they have given you difference between this. Okay, this you all can write. This is an important question. Okay, a country, Amartya, was governed by representatives on behalf of citizens. Another country, Plessia, was governed by citizens themselves by various methods. Identify the two forms of government and differentiate between their process. Um, So this is your pure democracy or pure direct democracy, pure democracy, and indirect and representative democracy. So country Armenia was governed by representative on behalf of citizens. So this is indirect democracy, and Plessia is pure democracy because citizens themselves are governed by various methods. Okay, so you will write about pure democracy and indirect democracy in this case. Okay, meeting, so how they are people in mass, they meet primary assembly. Okay, okay, so you will write all of this. So with that we are done with this chapter. Now let us see any additional questions if we have left in our reference book. If we have, so they can ask you questions like, um, what is difference between monarchy and democracy, they can ask you. Then they can ask you questions like, it is the government of one man who has not obtained position by inheritance but either by force or invasion or consent or combination of both. The above definition, Albert Comment talks about which form of government. So this is dictatorship. Okay, like these questions: what are the two kinds of legislature? Which kind of legislature prevails in Indian parliament? What is the legislature? What are the two types of legislature that are there? Unicameral, bicameral legislature. What does India have? India has bicameral legislature, right? Because we have two houses. Okay, so this is it then. That's it. Rest all we have covered. Okay, so this is it with the video. I hope you like the video, and if you have any doubts, you can mention it in the comment box down below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And any doubts, you can mention it down in the box. I'll be reading all and hopefully answering all the doubts that will be there. If you want me to make any video, if you have an exam in this week, I can do that for you. Please do let me know. Thank you.